tips and tricks you will want to remember. Introduction. I have been teaching writing at the college level for more than 25 years and have been working with APA format extensively for the last 15 years. I help students with dissertations and other large writing projects that require APA formatting. Although the changes in the APA 7th edition may seem challenging, the changes in this new edition have actually streamlined a lot of formatting issues and made things easier. I think the key with learning APA is to embrace learning it as a fun and interesting challenge. It will take some time, but having a positive outlook on it will actually help you learn it more quickly. I hope my tips on the following slides are helpful. My name is Dr. Crystal Sands. Spacing. Tip number 1, single space after periods. In the past, APA required or encouraged double spacing after periods and other punctuation at the ends of a sentence. Now APA requires just one space after periods and other punctuation. Double spacing after periods can be a habit difficult to break. One thing you can do while you are training yourself is to just be sure to edit your document and use the find and replace function in your word processing program to replace any double spaces with single spaces. Please note, of course, that this is spacing after periods that is single space. APA continues to require double line spacing. Font. Tip number 2, new fonts are allowed. In APA 7, we are allowed to use more than just Times New Roman 12-point font, which is great. Additional fonts allowed include Arial 11-point, Calibri 11-point, and Georgia 11-point. Et al. Tip number 3, use et al. In in-text citations with 3 or more authors. In in-text citations, we now use et al. The very first time we cite a source with 3 or more authors. In the past, we would not use et al. For 3 to 5 authors if it was the first time we cited this source. Now we use et al. Immediately. This change goes a long way towards simplifying a rule that used to be much more complicated. So instead of this, where you see Jones, Lee, and Sanchez 2020, we now do this, Jones et al. 2020. Again, we do this every time we cite the source, even the first time. Headings. Tip number 4, headings have changed in APA. Headings in APA have been simplified quite a bit with the 7th edition. There have been some fairly significant changes. Below, you will see the basic formatting for each level. First level heading, second level heading, third level heading, fourth level heading, you'll notice the period there, fifth level heading, also the period but now in italics. So centered, aligned left, also aligned left but in italics, tabbed with the period, tabbed with the period, and in italics. DOI numbers. Tip number 5, DOI information is presented differently in APA 7. In our references list, we no longer write DOI and then the number. Instead, DOIs are presented as links. Take a look at the example below. I want to point out the way the DOI number is presented with the link, with the HTTPS and then so on. So this is different than in the past. Please note your link should not be hyperlinked. Prezi automatically did this to me and I couldn't undo it, but you can undo this in your word processing program. Retrieved from. Tip number 6, no more retrieved from in references. In another simplification of formatting, We no longer write the words retrieved from in our references list before we give the link to an online source. Instead, we simply present the link as you can see in the sample below. Here is the link, no retrieved from. Tip number 7, singular they in the use of I. It is important to note that APA adopted the singular they in APA 7. This means we no longer use he or she and should use they as a singular gender-neutral pronoun. Here's an example. The student left their book on the desk. Even though the student is singular, we use their because we don't know the gender, and so the their or the they becomes the gender-neutral pronoun. Another important item to note in relation to pronouns is that APA now allows writers to use the first person pronoun I in the instances where it helps us avoid referring to ourselves in the third person or creating passive and confusing sentences. So in the past, a lot of students have been afraid to use I. You still only want to use it when necessary, but this is a big step forward, I think, in APA. Last but not least, I wanted to share a few resources. The APA Style blog is an important one. The Walden University Writing Center has a fantastic APA Style page. The Excelsior College Online Writing Lab has an APA Style page that is fantastic. I have to say, I created the content but worked with an amazing team and some librarians to help verify that content and make sure that it was correct and user-friendly. And then, of course, Purdue University Online Writing Lab also has some APA style resources. I hope this video has been helpful. Again, just remember that so much of learning APA is how you approach it in your mind. The more positive you are about it, the easier it's going to be to learn.